Eddie, talking about the history of Bitcoin. Thank you for joining me. A lot of you may be new to Bitcoin, a lot of you may not. Today I'd like to discuss how Bitcoin was used in the past before the majority of the population, I don't even think the majority, I'd say probably about 15%, well, I'd say about 15 to 20% of the population probably has heard of Bitcoin, and of that, probably 10% have a grasp understanding of, generally what Bitcoin is. But I want to discuss the history of it, generally, the general history of it. I won't get into details, specific details about it. I'm not going to get into technical details. But the history of Bitcoin, obviously it was released in 2009. Lord knows how long it has been in the making. And somebody said it was created in 2009. That technically is not right. It took a long time. I'm speculating on this part. I imagine it took quite a while for the program to be developed. I mean, it may have taken 10, 15 years. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's obviously the group who created this had some very high knowledge of mathematics, but generally speaking, pretty sure it took him longer than a year, him or her or them, longer than a year to create the system that we now know as Bitcoin. Anyway, neither here nor there. The system began in the underground. A lot of you all may not be aware of the dark net. There's the internet's right here, and then you have the dark net is under here. Dark net is much more private than the internet, and you just can't hop on the dark net and just start browsing and go all willy-nilly. You have to do certain things. You have to get a program called Tor. But anyways, in this underground dark web, you have a lot of murky, it's kind of like a lake filled with muck. You have some good spots, and you have some bad spots in the underground. But Bitcoin is still being used. It's a trading tool. Is it used as a currency? Yes and no. Basically, it started out with people who dealt with the underground, selling products, illegal materials, illegal services. I'm not going to get into all those illegal services and illegal, all that stuff. You want to find out, you can do that on your own. It was an instrument, a tool used to guarantee payment. So you have a problem that you want solved, and I'm the problem solver. You don't even know who I am. I don't even know who you are. Okay? But you do need to pay me. I'm not going to give you my address. I'm not going to give you any of that stuff. So I give you my Bitcoin address, and you'd send me some Bitcoins. Now, the price back in the day for Bitcoins, they were like $3-4 a coin, So, and the value was put on by both parties. We will only communicate through Bitcoin, me and you. I had a service to offer, and you wanted my service, but to keep our identity secret, we had to use kind of like a third party. So, and that third party was Bitcoin. So for me to use it, that would make you have to use it. So you wanted the service that I offered, so you would go out and purchase a Bitcoin for however much you could, maybe 30 cents, 40 cents, $2, $3, however much they cost who had them was willing to sell them for. And you would send those Bitcoins to me. And then I would take those Bitcoins and sell them to, the next person. So they weren't generally used as, some sort of stock like they're being used for these days. They're just basically used as trading. It was a trading instrument, a trading tool to provide service anonymity amongst 2 or 3 or however many parties are involved. So that's the kind of like the beginning of Bitcoin. That's how it started. Then Silk Road got some publicity, and people visit Silk Road, and people were like, "Oh, what is this Bitcoin?" And they started telling their friends about it, and friends told friends, and eventually people were like, "Hey, this is a good little idea here." Hackers, drug dealers, killers, all of them, they use Bitcoins. Now, obviously, I don't endorse what goes on with Bitcoin, just like I don't endorse everything that goes on with the dollar. But I'm just telling you how it's used, how it's been used, and probably how it will continue to be used. And that's basically the history of Bitcoin. And in the future, in the near future, I'm pretty sure, I think the Bitcoin instrument, or the tool, of the currency, the method, the process, the system, is going to see some dark days. Is going to see some, but on a wide scale, because right now, showing from the price of Bitcoin, lots of people are using it and are aware of it. Sometimes they might be using it for, I don't know what people are using these Bitcoins for these days. They might just be using it just to store value. I don't know. But at the same time, when you go back to where we started at, the underground, Bitcoins are still being used. The price really hasn't fluctuated. Like, to buy this amount of drugs back in the day, it was maybe like 2 Bitcoins. But do you think that price is still 2 Bitcoins today? No, absolutely not. It's probably 0.0005 Bitcoins or whatever. So the people who are still using it, who were using it, are still using it. It's just the same instrument, just on a different level. So that's that component of the history, brief history and overview of the Bitcoin. All right. Thank you. Take care.